Hey everyone, welcome to yet another rendition of 401 Games Sports Card Breaks. As always, I'm your host Patrick, coming to you live from 750 Yonge Street, our location here in downtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And we have a personal break to get into for Chris. Hopefully he's in here. We're just going to wait just a second. Chris, if you're here, let me know in the chat real quickly. We did figure out... kind of been running like a couple of chickens our heads cut off for the past couple of days. I wanted to do this yesterday. He was on the road, couldn't squeeze him in, but we get to do it now, which is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be his first time doing a personal break with us as well. So, should be good. We got 2 boxes of 2020-21 extended hobby right here. Let's go. There you go, Chris. All right. So, bear with me 1 second because if you heard that little bang there, it just dropped my good old knife. We are good to go, though. Here we are. All right. So, do you know how this all works? Just letting you know, we do end up keeping the base on these. We will ship these as singles. All of your inserts will be shipped out. All of your Young Guns will be shipped out. Any high gloss, exclusive, clear cut, all that stuff goes with you. Same with like any of the standard inserts, right? So, yeah, all that stuff will go with you. The base will stay here. Let me know if that's okay. If you want the base, I don't know. We typically don't send the base, but just let me know. Because I don't want any confusion there. So we're going to go into box number 1. How's your day been, Chris? Is it as sweltering hot for you as it is here in Toronto? Because it's crazy, my man. I got like no air conditioning down here. It's awful. Don't even have a fan. Though to be fair, if I got a fan, I'd probably just blow hot air back into my face. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, today's just like a really short shift for me. I just come in. If there's any breaks that need to be done, it's a break day for me. Tomorrow is a nice long shift. But this, for short shift, I'm always happy to actually have breaks on the short shifts here. Because it gives me something to do that's not looking at an Excel sheet. Even though usually part of the break process is looking at an Excel sheet. Need some ice clothes. What? What is this, like, if only, right? What is this, like a role-playing game? Yo, I got myself some ice armor. Keeps me cool in the sun. God, I wish that were a thing. Alright, pack number 1, pal. So we're going to blaze through the base. Your first one is going to be Hayden Verbeek. That will be your first Young Gun of the break. You need some ice clothes. I like that. I like that. If someone invents that, I will totally be buying it. Huh. These are supposed to be standard card sleeves, but that seems like the label's lying to me. Let me crack open some new ones. Because that looked like a thick fit, and I don't want a thick fit. Hayden Verbeek is going to be your first one. Montreal Canadiens. Just let them melt off of me. Nah, it's got to be like one of those things, you know, like a refrigeration unit built into the clothes. Basically, just put me inside a portable fridge. That would be nice. Coming up here on a rookie class of Liam Foudy. Liam Foudy, rookie class. Insert. Wonder why they didn't have any of these inserts in Series 1 and 2 this year. Maybe I'll bring this one back for this year's Upper Deck Extend Series. We'll see. SP Authentic next week, too. That's going to be crazy. Exactly 1 week from today. For Zub, you got an ovation of Ty Smith. Gold Ovation. Premier Prospects. Ty Smith. There we go. Hopefully we can hit something big. Oh, how you doing, Aton? Good to see you, my friend. And I agree with that. SP's coming in way too hot this year. Hoglander here. Our pre-order price, we do have pre-orders up $375 on that bad boy. Remember the days when that was like a $225 box on release day? Long gone. Alright, so we're almost done 1/4 of your first box, Chris. We got 2 more packs on this bottom right side. Callum Booth, Young Gun 4, the Boston Bruins. Alright. Wonder if you'll get any of those, I'm hoping for you, I mean, I hope you get whatever you want, but I'm hoping to see some of those short print rookies. We put a Lafreniere of one, I think out of 250 once from this. I'd love to see you get something similar to that. Cole Holtz, French Variation, Jean-Luc. There you go, nice. You get a French Variation Young Gun for the LA Kings, Cole Holtz. Nice, nice. Jean-Luc. Game 4 is tonight, right? If I recall correctly. Wonder who's starting in net. Last I saw, they were talking about Kemper getting the call. But I feel like there's such a short leash there for Colorado. Artemi Panarin, holographics. Like, Kemper was fantastic during the regular season, but this playoff, he really hasn't done much to separate himself from Francouz. And that was a pretty rough game from him in Game 3. It's hard to tell what exactly they have there with him, because he also really, like, they did win 7-0 in Game 2, but he did not get challenged at all. Like, Tampa was not, they're just not present. UD, oh, I missed that. That just popped up now. Is it because they went with the Upper Deck Portrait rookies? Oh, why they got rid of the rookie class? You're probably right, actually. Is this all base? Let's gotta take a look here on the back. No French here? Yeah, it's all base. Okay. Robin Yossi, Nashville. One of the best defensemen in the game today. I think what led all defensemen in points this year. Nashville always having like a premier offensive defenseman, it seems like. Ooh, Michael Bunting. Young Gun. Coyotes. There you go. from Scarborough, Ontario. Mr. Bunting. Nice young gun to hit for sure. Just want to check something real quick. Wonder how much he's going for. Anyone know offhand? Because he had a hell of a season. Reflections. Connor Hellebuck. Also, what is it with Arizona always letting, like, young talent leave? Team's been in perpetual hell. Every time you turn around, it seems like someone that used to be a Coyote is producing a decent clip somewhere else. With the exception of OEL, of course. They definitely got all of his prime years there. We've got ourselves an ultimate victory of Connor McDavid. Mr. Connor McDavid in the ultimate victory. I don't want to start any fires. I know there's a lot of angry McDavid fans after last night, though. Twitter was crazy, Chris. Holy jeez. Which number is it on the back? CM9. The 9th Connor McDavid in the set. CM9. Clear cut. Clear cut is of Josh Levo. Calgary Flames. So we'll ship all these out to you, just as we would with like any of our standard breaks. 4, 5, and 6. Making headway on the set then. Are you actively collecting that, or are you just coming across them from like boxes? They were upset with him not going to the show, and then they were upset with him not beating out Matthews, eh? We got an exclusive. Roman Josi. Roman Josi exclusive, numbered 69 of 100. Not a bad box, man. Nice first box. You got a bunting. You got an exclusive. Got a clear cut. Side collection you started? It's always nice to do that. I'm kind of starting the same thing. I collect more baseball. So there's a set in baseball called Bowman, and then there's Bowman Chrome. And one of the parallels that they have is Sparkle. I ended up getting a Sparkle of one of my like favorite young Detroit Tigers prospects, Riley Green. And then that made me compelled to go and buy every Sparkle that is currently out of him. So I get the chase, man. The chase is fun. Logan Stanley, young gun. It's always just cool to have, like, if you find a particular aesthetic of card that you like, to just go for it. Logan Stanley, Young Gun, Jets. I have another personal break after yours. Another customer named Nick buy one. He hasn't gone back to me yet, but if he does, we might do his box too. We'll see. Also, actually, I want to ask, this is the first checklist. Some people do collect the checklist. You want me to consider the checklist as a hit? Because I will. That's no big deal. I mean, that's how they get you, right? Yes, please. Gotcha. Philip Forsberg, Nashville. Probably, if you don't mind, I'll probably start. So I'm just realizing how many top loaders I'm using. I'll top load the rest of this box, but I think going forward, I'll probably just top load any like really short printed inserts or young guns or clear cuts. But probably stop like top loading like these guys here, you know? Carlson, Ultimate Victory. That doesn't mean that I won't sleeve them though. They'll be sleeved and team bagged. I just want to be able to actually ship the order. Put these together. Sometimes you just get so busy talking, right? Then you just start putting everything in. At least I didn't put any base in. Looks like coming up on a holographics, maybe? Yes, we are. Dylan Cousins, Buffalo Sabres. So I'll get our sleeve here. Awesome. Last row here, top left. Typically like to end it on top left. Let's see what it has in favor for us. It's only bad if you start top loading the base set. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Looks like we got a young gun. There is your boy Zub. You got him. You said, I want a Zub? You got a Zub. Artem Zub. Ottawa Senators, young gun. So you got your Zub, you got a bunting, you got an exclusive, you got a clear cut, and you got a Jean-Luc. Not bad. Not bad. We still have another box to go, too. Rookie class here of Mr. Logan Stanley, who we've also received a young gun of. Winnipeg Jets. Josh Norris, Ottawa Senators in the Ultimate Victory. I'm going to assume if you're looking for Zub that you're probably a Sens fan. Oh God. I love the Penguins. Reverse retro. Oh, so nice. Speaking of Penguins, Sidney Crosby. Yeah, my favorite team and your favorite team have some history in the playoffs, because this would be mine. Sens and Pens. Man, you guys have had some damn good teams. I always had a soft spot, and up until there was that little bit in the mid-2000s where the Penguins and the Senators met a couple times. So I had to kind of turn on you guys then. And then, of course, 2017 Eastern Conference Finals. But like, I've always been a Penguins fan, and I loved Patty Lalime. And when you guys got him, God, I wanted so badly for that team with Lalime to beat Toronto, but it just never happened. Every single time I had faith in you guys to do it, and it never happened. It was so sad. The worst part is I checked Patrick Lalime's, like, every time I check Patrick Lalime's, like, goaltending stats in the playoffs, I want to say I saw that, like, for career it's like over 50 games played in the playoffs. For every goalie that's played, like, 50 games in the playoffs, I think he's, like, number 3 all time in save percentage. But what always comes back to mind is, like, you just get those flashes of, like, with the one bad goal he let in against Toronto that would do him in, but then you look at the numbers and it's like, holy shit, he actually stood on his head a lot. Ottawa's just a very interesting team in that regard. Got ourselves a fine night here, so we will sleeve this, of Anthony Mantha. And then my favorite player, tied with Lemieux all time, he got traded to Ottawa. Oh, yeah. And I cried that day. Because I was just a kid. But 9 years old, 2001, the Pittsburgh Penguins traded Tom Barrasso to Ottawa in exchange for Ron Tugnut. And 9-year-old me was devastated. There we go. Anthony Mantha. Then I had to watch Jean-Sébastien Aubin playing that. Ugh. But yeah, it's always been interesting because I always talk about it. I don't know if you've caught the streams. Yeah. Yeah, Tom. Yeah. I love Tom. I love Tom. I can't believe he's on the Hall of Fame, given every the accomplishment that he has. 2 Stanley Cups, Vezina winner, Calder winner. I think he's finished top 5 Vezina voting for at least 5 different seasons. Second most wins of an American-born goaltender. Most playoff wins of an American goaltender. Not in the Hall of Fame. How about a third one? You already got one of these from this box. What? How many Coles? Hey, you got the market cornered now on Cole, okay? Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because, geez, that 2001 year, even though I was a kid, you know, I was one of those kids that watched hockey, any hockey, right? Like, I had the little bunny ears on the TV, on my little TV in my room, and I'd watch Hockey Night in Canada, so I had to watch the team I hated the most, which was the Leafs. All the time if I wanted to watch any hockey. Patrick Kane in the finite. But I remember there was one hot stove that year where they were talking about, this is around, I think this was the 2001 deadline, and Buffalo decided not to trade Hasek, and then he got traded to Detroit the next year. But I remember that there was talk on the hot stove back then, and it was burned into my mind because I was so excited that they were saying that the Penguins were on the phone to get Hasek. And then, of course, you know, when I was a kid, it's like, oh my god, like, okay, I lost Barrasso, but we're going to get Hasek. Never happened, and then within 2 years, the team files for bankruptcy. Oh, fantastic. Quite a juxtaposition from where my expectations were to what actually happened. And then, of course, Hasek ends up over eventually with the Senators, where he was phenomenal there, too. Another clear cut here of Eric Goodbranson in that Ottawa Senators jersey. But how many former Penguins goalies are you guys going to take? Like, is that a fair question for me to ask? With the exception of Hasek, is every goaltender pretty much a Penguin? The majority of them are, right? I want to say, go back. I'm trying to think of all the goalies you guys have had in the last 20 years. Right? Tugnut, Lalime. Lalime's a Penguin. I guess technically it doesn't really count for Tugnut because Tugnut became a Penguin. As well, that trade, Barrasso. Barrasso. Okay, then you had Hasek. Then you had Craig Anderson. But then you got Matt Murray. Penguin. Now you got Philip Gustafsson. Penguin. Don't forget Gustafsson. That's a Penguin prospect. You guys acquired him in the trade with the Pens. Connor Garland. Dazzler. All your goalies are Penguins. That's 5 goalies. 5 goalies that are Penguins for the Senators. It's disgusting. It's there's collusion. Big time. Yeah, but we don't speak about that name here. This is a Brassard free zone. I don't know who that is. Probably because he never showed up to Pittsburgh. I think he just ghosted. Checklist for you. Another Logan Stanley. Okay, well, look, this might be good. We got that LA Kings guy. We got another Stanley. If we get the same assortment, we should be seeing a Bunting and another Zub, right? That's how this works. Oh, I can't sit here and I mean, I'm blessed, man. I was born the last year. I was born at 92. Right after they won the Cup. I was born in August. And up until 2009, I was convincing myself that I was the curse that made the Penguins suck. And then I watched that Cup, and I've seen 2 more Cups since. Anyone that has seen their team win 3 times can't complain. So even if Brassard sucked, I'm pretty blessed on when it comes to the Penguins. Not so much with these guys, but the Penguins are good. Don't get me started on my Lions. That team doesn't exist. Seth Jones, Blue Jackets. Zibanejad in a second for Brassard, yeah. But at least you guys got something from Brassard. Like, Brassard wasn't totally useless for you guys. Those Zibanejads... Zibanejad is... What would you consider Zibanejad? He's not like a franchise player. But he's about the closest thing you'll get. Callum Booth. I think this is the exact same assortment. If we get a Bunting, I think it's the exact same assortment. My son made me rediscover my hockey card collection. UD 1990 to 2000. That's cool. There is a lot of stuff during that era. You probably got tons of cards. Everyone got tons of cards from that era. Crafty. Callum Booth, young gun. He's a top-line player. Yeah, he's a top-line player. Like, he's in that Kessel sort of role. You wouldn't want to misdiagnose him as being like the guy. But if he's I think Zibanejad. If Zibanejad's like your second or well, probably more likely your 3rd best offensive forward, you're probably in a good spot. Drew O'Connor. Wow, that's a new one. Pittsburgh Penguins. And it's a Jean-Luc. So it shouldn't count against your Young Gun total. Not too bad. So both your French variations were actually Young Guns out of these boxes. It's pretty nice. It's a good ratio. No base card French variations. We're just hitting Jean-Lucs today. I think with like the 1990 to 2000 hockey cards, it's kind of in a weird state right now. I'd hold on to them for sure. Because we're at a point right now, Vampire, like if you're going through all that stuff, the market on that right now doesn't really exist if you ever want to sell. If you're keeping for personal stuff, it's really, really cool. But I think we're also getting to the point since like a lot, at least from my experience here at the store, as we're coming up on another McDavid moment here, you got CM10. Another new one for the collection. CM10. A lot of people are throwing out their 1990 to 2000s cards, so I actually think what you might end up getting with that stuff is if enough people ditch it, it's like everything else. You might end up getting the same effect eventually down the line of what happened with people who destroyed all their cards with the, with their bike spokes. Because I get so many people into the store. We don't take in, like, hockey cards here. But I have had so many people over the 5 years I've been here come in with, like, their old collection of 1990s, late 80s, all the way through 90s stuff. I had to tell them that, they're like, you know, they ask for a bunch of money. I had to tell them, like, the market on them doesn't really exist right now. And then they end up just throwing it out. And if too many people end up doing that, so we got a Reflections Crosby. If too many people end up doing that, they'll actually create a market. And especially if you're just doing personal collecting, I really like the look of some of those 90s cards, especially as we start approaching the 2000s. Is it all straight Upper Deck, or do you have like some of the other stuff too? You got like Pinnacle, Victory. The diversity in cards during that era is really cool, in my opinion. I still kept them sealed. There's another Bunting, Michael Bunting. This is the same assortment, the same box. I mean, like the other inserts are varied, but the Young Guns seems to be the exact same. Not that you're going to complain, because Bunting's one of the best Young Guns you could get here. Focus on Upper Deck. That's cool. Yeah, for me, all the Upper Deck stuff back then, I think it's hard to say, because obviously the Upper Deck product now is of high quality too, but there was something particularly charming about the old Upper Deck stuff. As we come up on a rookie of Sorokin. Alright, and then this will go over here, because that bad boy's now full. And let me pop open another thickie over here. There's a reason why Upper Deck was like the card everyone wanted in any sport during that time period. They were definitely amongst the nicest looking cards on the market. Yeah. Yeah, Upper Deck and Tops, I think. I've got a couple Panini things, and Panini can make some really gorgeous cards. But I definitely feel like Upper Deck and Tops are the class of the game for sure. Well, the one really thing on traits to help build the sets. Oh man, we're talking about dealers from back then. Are we talking about dealers from the 90s and 2000s? Because man, those card shops back then. You'd walk in. God, I grew up in Sudbury, so we only had one card shop. But I'd come down here when I was a kid, and what was it? is it Legends of Spirit of the Game, Legends of the Game, something like that. It no longer exists here in Toronto, but we come down here. Thomas Harley holographics for the Stars. And when you'd walk in, this would have been, God, I was really little. This would have been maybe like 98. Like I was probably like 7, 8 years old. The dealers back then, at least this one particular store, all he had was just like boxes, wall to wall, goes all around. Then he had like the team sets too, where you could pick out some players from the box. It was a different time, man. It's a lot more, in a lot of ways when it comes to sports cards, it was a lot more rookie class of Sorokin. It was a lot more personal. That's for sure. And the other thing too is this is pre-eBay, right? Like before eBay really took off. So if you wanted to get single cards, you had to go to the card shop. eBay killed it. Oh, you're on Montreal. It's one of my favorite cities I've ever visited. It's beautiful. Oh, hey, look at that. Different Young Gun. Oh my God, variety. Christopher, aren't you happy? You didn't have this guy, did you? I mean, you probably have him on your PC, but this is a different guy from the other box, Jake Bischoff. Probably no relation to Eric from wrestling, but who knows? Jake Bischoff. All the major companies have... Yeah. It's just a matter of, like, which ones are consistently desirable. I like different brands for different reasons. I think Topps does the chrome the best of all the companies. They also have great in-action shots. What I like about Upper Deck is I like that Upper Deck, like, every Upper Deck card, with the exception of some high-end sets, tends to focus more on, like, actual on-ice action, which is where I think hockey really shines. Like, it might just be me, but I'd rather have a card where, like, Cal Peterson here, like, get in the ready position, you can see everything around him. I kind of like the aesthetic of just like, hey, this is a cool looking photograph of gameplay that we put on cardboard, which is nice. Because sometimes some stuff I've seen gets a little bit away from that. Mostly when I'm thinking of like Leaf in particular. If you ever buy like any Leaf product, you get none of their product as in action shots, like at all. It's all just some background, some like generic silver blank background or whatever, and then like the player's face. Or maybe if you're lucky, he's like shooting a puck or something, but not actually on a rink. Marchand. Mr. Brad Marchand. Got another checklist here, so you'll get 2 of these. Draisaitl McDavid. Coming on to the last quarter of your second box, pal. I'm taking it crafty that you got a lot of Habs, or if it's a really, really old collection, Nordiques. Gotta wonder when that team's coming back. Come on. Didn't like 15,000 people show up to a junior game this year at in Quebec City? Meanwhile, they're about to play in a 5,000 person arena in Arizona. Brad Marchand in our holographics here. Getting a lot of Marchands now. Three by 3 sheets. That's the most 90s way to do it. The binders are so popular. Yeah, this is the same assortment for the most part. There's another Zoob. You said, I want a Zoob, so how about two? We consider this a success, I think. Two Buntings, two Zoobs. Very nice. Great success. As Borat would say. Rookie class of Sharangovich. Two packs left, my friend. Then we'll do the rundown and show you everything that you got. God, if that isn't one of the cooler base cards I've seen from this set. Oh, cool. That's the type of shot that I'm talking about. I love photography like that on a card. Just show me the raw game action, man. Ty Smith again on the rookie. Last pack. Geno Malkin from my Penguins. Alright, so these will just be your various not top loader worthy but still insert cards. So let's get to your top loaded hits. Just sort this. Exclusive, clear cut, David, reflection, bunting. Probably don't need to show you those guys again, to be honest. Probably won't do the roundup on these standard inserts that I just sleeved like an idiot. You know what they are. Take the ovations though. Alright. So, don't forget. So the other Ty Smith you got was the silver. You've been pulling like the silver ovations, but this one's the gold one. So, did get a gold ovation. Clear cuts go here. Do exclusive here. Yeah, that will work. Alright, so we're going to start with the non-Young Guns. Garland. You got yourself a Roman Josi exclusive, 69 of 100. Clear cut of Eric Goodbranson in the Sens jersey. Josh Olivo for Calgary. Got yourself here the McDavid moments. This one was number 9, Connor McDavid number 9, and then you also got McDavid moment number 10. Got an ovation here of Nick Suzuki, Montreal Canadiens. Another ovation here, ovation gold of Ty Smith for the Devils. Then we've got our SPX Finites. Anthony Mantha for the Red Wings, Patty Kane for the Chicago Blackhawks. Now we're going to get into your Young Guns. Alright, so this is going to be a mess. We're going to resort this one more time to keep these doubles together because there's so many that I would probably loop over again and again and again if I don't actually sort this like this now. I'd be like, where's the end? Alright, so here we go. We are going to take all the doubled cards. Awesome. All right, here are all of your young guns. We're going to start with the Jean-Luc French variation, Drew O'Connor. Doubles and a triple. Yeah, I know, crazy. I don't even know how you get a triple in 2 boxes. How does it even freaking happen? Oh, yeah, you got 2 of the same guy in this box. Okay, Drew O'Connor, French variation, Jake Bischoff, Hayden Verbeek, Callum Booth. Callum Booth again. Logan Stanley, followed by, you guessed right, Logan Stanley. Cole Holtz, followed by Cole Holtz, followed by Jean-Luc Cole Holtz. The triple case of the Holtz. You're right, it is because the one of them is the Jean-Luc. That's correct. Followed by a Michael Bunting, and then another Michael Bunting, and then we're going to finish on an Artem Zub, and last but not least, Artem Zub. And that will do it, my friend. I'll get all this shipped out and boxed for you. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to check real quick to see if I got the other gentleman here, if he actually was able to reach out to me. Obviously, we didn't make it. I suggested maybe we would do 5:30-ish. Now it's 5:47, so obviously not going to happen. I don't think he ever returned my question. Nah, he didn't. So he still hasn't seen it. That's fine. Which means we can just focus on you, essentially. Fire, loved it. No problem, man. Anytime. Alright, so I'll take care of all this base for you. That's all ours now. And we will get this all shipped out to you. I hope you enjoyed it. Personal breaking, I mean, I don't see anyone really do it, to be honest. I kind of wanted to experiment with the idea. I want to see how everyone feels about it. I like getting to know you guys better, though. Sharing a box experience and, you know, just talking some crap about sports. The way it should be when you open a box of cards, in my opinion. You know? Because that's what at the end of the day, that's what being a fan is all about. What good would knowing everything about Penguins-Senators transaction be if I couldn't just bore someone to tears about all the history of it? That's the whole point! Oh, man. Alright, so we're just going to continue team bagging, sleeving everything. If you need anything else, let me know, but I'll probably be winding it down here in just a minute. But yeah, so all of your... everything will be team bagged like this, multiple team bags. Then they will go into a larger bag, which I've got over here. And then we'll put that bag inside of a nice box for you. So, I don't know if I could fit your whole order in this box. I might go a stage up. And then everything will be packed in nice and tight with a lot of foam. As a sense, see, that's the beauty of it, right? That's the thing, is like, I saw the ramifications from the Penguins' point of view and followed them. You get to tell me the other side of the coin. Obviously, it's been much worse in recent history for you guys. It's weird because we could sit here and we could talk all day about the Senators. But the Senators definitely are, like, the most peculiar team in all of hockey to me. Because, like, the Leafs will break your heart. We know that. You know, the Habs show flashes. Like, it seems to me that the story of the Habs is always, hey, we made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. How the hell did we do that? I don't know. Let's never come back here. Okay. That's kind of what the Montreal's like. Like, they always somehow blunder their way deep into a playoff run once every decade. As the Sens, like, for a while, like, when I was in high school, not just high school, like, elementary school, all the way through high school, I looked at the Sens as, like, the model of consistency in Canada, right? Like, them alongside Vancouver, but I would say the Senators were even more consistent. during that time period. I don't think there was a better hockey team in this country than the Senators for like a decade. And it seemed like from like the Yashin era onwards. And not by the way, not to tug on any strings there, because then we get into the whole Chara era and stuff, but they just seem to be really good, like all the time. And what was it, like from 1998? I'm trying to think, like 1998 onwards. I just remember them always being somewhere in the picture. Even then, when they fell off, they only fell off like for a couple years. Then they came surging back with Carlson, and it looked like everything was going to be fine. And then you had that whole blow up with what's his name? Oh, the guy who ended up getting moved to Florida, and his girlfriend. Oh, how is his name escaping me? That name should be burned into your mind. That's for sure. What's his name? Mike. What's his name? Mike Hoffman. That's it. Mike Hoffman. God, what a disaster piece that was. And then from that it was like literally from that moment, they just collapsed. And then it seemed like everything that I don't know what it is with Ottawa, because nothing's really changed from I mean, now obviously your owner died, but for a long time nothing changed from the ownership level or the front office level. It was just almost like all of a sudden the whole team just magically became incompetent overnight. It was very weird. Incredibly strange. Mind you, I do think that they have pieces now. Norris is a heck of a player. Stutzel, obviously. I still think even Gustafsson, like, he's a good goal, like, you know, he's a good goalie prospect. He was a high-ranked goalie prospect for a reason. He could turn into something for you guys. There's just something about there's something about the Sens right now that I can't put my finger on exactly what happened. It's the strangest implosion I've ever seen, because it kind of came out of nowhere. You go from 1 year, you're in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7, double overtime. You're one goal away. One goal away. Which, by the way, having watched, like, obviously as a Penguins fan, having watched that series and then watching the Sharks after, or not the Sharks, no, that was the Predators' year. Either way, the Preds after were not going to beat them. So whoever won that Eastern Conference Final was going to win the Stanley Cup, in retrospect. That is one of the worst trades ever, by the way. In my opinion. That Duchesne trade, and that's not to speak ill of how Duchesne's playing right now, because Duchesne's obviously playing his best hockey ever now. But when you guys made the Duchesne trade and the sacrifices you made to get him, he was not, like, no one could have foreseen him doing as poorly in Ottawa as he did. But even at the time, like, that was a lot. There's a lot to give up for what Duchesne was even supposed to be. And then you kind of park yourself, you know, on that boat at that point. You were just saying, hey, like, once you designate a guy as your franchise forward, you're stuck with him. I guess the Bobby Ryan contract was pretty handicapped for the team too. That cut them down quite a bit. I mean, these are things, by the way, like, not to touch on any of that stuff directly, but there's some things, even if true, you just don't say. Yeah. Yeah, Bobby Ryan is he's one of those guys where it was really hard to not pull for him. It was really hard to not pull for him. Because obviously he faced all these issues, right? Like Bobby Ryan been in and out of rehab. Just give me 1 second. I'm looking for a marker. If you're wondering why I'm looking around everywhere, found it though. In and out of rehab, getting back on the wagon, reviving his hockey career in terms of his dedication towards it, and you really wanted to see him go back to being what he should be. I think he's one of the most sympathetic players in the modern era for sure. There's only a few guys in hockey where I would say that I really wanted to see them do well. Yeah, one of the draws when I was a kid with Lemieux, so I ended up becoming a Penguins fan when I was young just by looking at a collection of hockey cards, and I liked the goalies, and I thought Barrasso looked the best, and that's kind of how it went. That was when I was really little, going over. I was like 2.5, 3 years old. That's basically how it was. But then as I started to learn more about the team, I had my speech that I delivered at school when I was 5 about Mario, and him going through the cancer and playing through it. There's always there's a few players that you really just want to pull for them. Mario suffering from bad back and cancer makes it very easy to want to cheer for him. I would say the same thing happened. There's the best moment of a team that you would probably want to pull for was probably the 98 Red Wings after Konstantinov. It was really hard not to want to see that team go back to back. Bobby Ryan, very easy guy to cheer for because he was just fighting so many demons and he was so public and open about it. There's been a couple other guys too, right? God, I'm trying to think. Yeah, he never came close to being the 7 million player. And to be honest, I think the worst thing for him was who he was following up. Number 1 in your draft, Sidney Crosby. Number 2, you. And people were actually, no one was seriously having debate, don't think. But I remember even when the Penguins were going up to draft, on draft day they're all obviously they're taking Crosby. But I remember, even if it's just to fill air, I remember national media positing the question, well, should you actually go Bobby? The amount of hype that was on Bobby was insane. Saku Koivu's another one. Saku Koivu, towards the end of his career for sure, when he was dealing with cancer. Can't forget about him. There's quite a few guys that you just want to see them do well. That's definitely one of them. I think I'm going to I'll be right back. I think I'll just actually continue shipping this stuff. I'll be right back. I just have to grab a bigger box for your order. But your order's pretty much ready to go almost. Alright, we are back. Let's build ourselves a big box. What else? There's got to be more. There's got to be more guys. Oh. God, probably some obvious ones I'm not even thinking of. Alright, so the packing process. Fun times. We'll just check our help desk once again to see if Nick ever got back to us. No, so we'll probably do his personal break whenever he gets back to me. Lindblom, yeah, that's right. Probably the only time that I was sympathetic for a flyer. Here's a question for you, speaking of flyers and shortened careers and whatnot. Which player was the first player to give Eric Lindros a concussion? Hey, Frankie, for sure I can do your personal break. Do you have the order number? That's a trivia question. That man had so many of them. But who was the first one to give him one? Oh, of course I have sympathy for Lindros as a human being. Plus, he left Philadelphia, so that absolved him of his sins. You know? The big one by Stevens is the one everyone remembers. His first concussion came at the hands of one Darius Kasparaitis of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah, he just came back from the Kasparaitis hit. If it's Penguins history, I know something. Usually. Yep. Got stood up at the blue line. 5'11" Darius Kasparaitis. Didn't even do shoulder to head. You can watch that hit. It's clean. Clean hit. I think he got the concussion on the way down. Which obviously you don't want to see. Oh yeah, there's... God. So yeah, I'll definitely retract that because I don't have sympathy... Okay, I don't have sympathy for the Flyers. But one of the reasons I don't have sympathy for the Flyers, actually, is because you could probably Google it. There was a time where Lindros was suffering from a concussion, and the Flyers players the Flyers doctors decided to treat his concussion by putting him in a bathtub and filling it with ice. And they wanted him to get ready for the game the next day. And he ended up actually passing out in the tub. He almost died that night. He got sent to the hospital. He was going into I think not like a cardiac arrest, but he was like in like a very dire situation, and they just kind of shoved it under the rug. Yeah. I'm gonna post it in the stream. The bathtub incident. Here you go. From NBC. This didn't break until a few years ago. Yeah. This didn't break till 2008. There you go. Pretty much, yes. So yeah, it was a rib injury. This one was a rib injury. Okay, I was right. I got mixed up. So there was a rib injury. Sorry. This is just an insight into how mismanaged he was. So that's what happened. Yeah, there was one where they did the same thing for his concussion, but then they did this for his ribs, and he had internal bleeding. And they're like, yeah, just put some ice on it. That's what happened. Apologize. Got that one crossed. However, still stupid. So the spirit of it is alive, in my opinion. Hey guys. He's bleeding everywhere inside his skin. Should we take him to the hospital? Fuck it. Do we have a bathtub? Is that another name for a nurse? No, just a bathtub. Oh. Why? So we are done with Chris's order. We'll move on since there's another person doing a personal break, Frankie, but he did not respond to me. So if you're ready to go, just give me your order number and we'll do that, my friend. He should have just played for the Nordiques. He really should have. The other thing too is if he plays for the Nordiques, do the Nordiques ever leave? Because they would have still had, right? Would they still have had, if they drafted Lindros, that trade never happens. Now that trade did make Colorado what they were. But, now with that owner, eh? But, you'd have Lindros and they probably keep Sundin. They probably don't win the Cups, though. They probably don't win 96 and 2001. I think it's probably more likely... It's probably more likely at that time that if the Lindros trade never happens, you're probably looking at Detroit winning 3 Cups in a row, right? Detroit would probably be the team to beat in the West in 96 if Colorado wasn't there. Should it probably be Detroit? And then 2001, I would say Detroit would be the team again. That final would probably be Detroit versus New Jersey in 2001. And then how would you look at those Detroit teams? 96, 97, 98, maybe 2001, 2002 Stanley Cup? It's funny that if you think about it, that Forsberg trade, that Lindros trade, is probably the only thing that prevents us from saying that the mid to late '90s Red Wings aren't the greatest team ever assembled. Because more than likely they have at least 4 Cups, maybe 5, during that era, during like a 6 or 7 year span, if Colorado was not there. So you got the 2 boxes of Series 2 Hockey Hobby, huh? Alright. These guys are right behind me. This is going to require me to just be right back again. Let me grab another couple boxes here so I can put away the base cards and whatnot and ship your order. I still don't think Philly... If Philly has Forsberg, I don't think it moves the needle all that much for them. Because, like, Forsberg and Lindros are almost a wash. They're both very injured players. Like, at their top level, they're very, very good. But they're almost a wash, right? Both guys are probably playing maybe 50 to 60 games a year for you. Both guys are probably playing around the same points per game. But it would be... Because the other thing, too, right, was how much draft capital. There was a lot of draft capital in that trade, right? Philly in drafting is not good. So, like, that's why they're Philly. They suck at drafting. So more than likely, I don't think anything changes on that front. I think the best team of the 90s is probably still going to end up being Jersey. From the East. I'll be right back. business. Just gotta make this bad boy. Yeah. When you think 90s hockey, I think you probably think... I don't know, the teams that stick out to me, right? Early 90s, best team in the East is Pittsburgh. For the from 1990 to 1995, Pittsburgh's the best team in the East, I would say. Then Jersey takes that mantle. And New York is consistently, I think at any period in time, I think New York is consistently probably second best team in the East during that whole time period. Because they were always coming up short. Them and Boston were always coming up short to Pittsburgh in the early 90s. And then they continued to come up just short against Jersey, though they did get that one cup in 94. But the Rangers, yeah, surprisingly, the Rangers were pretty consistent. The best team of the 90s all around, I would have to give it to Detroit. I think Detroit, even though if we're just talking 90s, Penguins have 2 cups, Detroit has 2 cups, but the Detroit, from 1994 till 2000, Detroit was still a perennial cup contender, where I would say that no one was looking at the Penguins as a cup contender come... Well, it's tough to say. They actually did make it to the Eastern Conference Finals in 96. It's hard to say. I just think that Detroit probably didn't... I think by the end of 2000s, I want to say Pittsburgh by 99 was an 8 seed, and I don't think that Detroit was ever that low during that decade. So I'd probably give it to Detroit overall. But somewhere in the power rankings, it's some combination for the 90s. The top 5 teams, I think, are kind of set in stone in whatever order you want to put them. Some combination of Detroit, Pittsburgh, New Jersey, New York, and Colorado. Those are the teams that stick out to me. The Dallas Stars as well. I would say just Dallas Stars were probably the 3rd best team in the West during that decade. / Minnesota Wild. Won a Stanley Cup, made it to another. You know, lost in 92. Or not, no, lost in 91, sorry. So this is our break for Frankie. Top right corner. Same thing. You already done this before, Frankie. You know how this goes. Hope your day has been going well, my friend. Our first insert is going to be Michael Hauser, Marquee Rookie. Oh, Peachy Marquee Rookie. I don't know. Bring the heat. You should have seen Frankie. I don't know how much he caught at the last break. We literally pulled the same assortment of Young Guns. Twice. He had... Whoa, no, they went flying. Oh my god. I apologize. It's a Marquee Rookie in here, so it's not a big deal, but still, fumble fingers over here. Jonathan Dahlin. That's what I get for talking. Ugh. Anyway, it's crazy. We pulled the same assortment of Young Guns twice. He actually has triples in one Young Gun from 2 boxes. Though one of them is a French variation, but... extended series hobby. Also letting you guys know that I did put up the video, but if you guys didn't see the video, I see Frankie that and Chris, you guys have both gone into some of the newer personal breaks, but we also have coming up on a blue marquee of Parker Kelly, other new personal breaks up on the website, as well as new breaks in general. We got breaks on pre-order. That SP Authentic coming out 1 week from today. Yeah, like, you know, his assortment, I don't think he's going to complain all too much about getting two Michael Buntings. You know, if you're going to get from Young Guns from Extended, Bunting's about as good as you can get. Walking away with two of him is pretty nice. We're coming up on a portrait rookie of Dawson Mercer. I don't know. What are your guys' top 5 teams of the 90s? What do you think? Lucas Raymond, marquee rookie. Nice. Detroit Red Wings. He's in every box, huh? Got ourselves our first Young Gun. It's going to be of a Senator, Jacob Bernard Docker. Hey. You have to... Hey, John. The 50s were a decade. 40s? No, can't be 50s Red Wings, right? Can't be 60s. Can't be 40s Habs. Are you right? Maybe. Were they the best team of the decade when they were the St. Patrick's? Probably still no. Oh, man, that's sad. Marquee rookie of Vemelka. Flashes of greatness from this guy. I'd love to see what he'd do if he actually had a team in front of him. Who's Patrick? Oh yeah, the guy who's been here for 5 years. That guy. He got banished to the crypts. I'm down here in the basement more often than not. Alex Newhook. Well, he's had a pretty interesting run here in the playoffs. Nice Young Gun. Mr. Newhook. Wait till he plays in front of only 5,000 people. Well, hey, man. You know... It's so sad. Okay, so... Any of you guys ever watch, like, the show Letterkenny or, like, Shoresy or anything like that? So that's shot in my hometown of Sudbury, Ontario. And most of that is shot in the... at least Shoresy is now being shot in the Sudbury Community Arena. And the Sudbury Community Arena in Sudbury, Ontario, in the middle of nowhere, Northern Ontario. That arena seats more people than where Arizona is going to play next season. Yikes. Gabriel Landeskog, honorable. God, I can't watch that show because it's so weird to me. Like, because I recognize every location. You know, I recognize every location, and some of the recurring characters in that series, both Letterkenny and Shoresy, are people I grew up with. So I'm like, I know you! We went to high school together! We were in the same homeroom class! So when I'm trying to take them seriously as characters, it's like, I can't. I'm like, yo, this is just my old friend from way back in the day. How the hell can I take them seriously? But it is funny. It's a funny show. Marquee rookie of Podkolzin. Vasily Podkolzin. It's surreal. Never thought that that my hometown would have anything like that. Darnell Nurse canvas. And it's just so... I don't know. If you've ever been up there, Letterkenny... Like, to you guys, that's a comedy show. Letterkenny and Shoresy. To me, that's a documentary. That's just how it was. That's how it is at home. All the chirping and the yapping and the goofy northern accent, which I hope I didn't develop. Yeah, exactly. Like everyone up there, most of my friends, we all sound like that. We start talking about taking a rip, you know? You want to go for a rip, bud? How about with the rookie materials at Uka Pekka Luukkonen? Don't get a couple northerners out and talking with one another. We will devolve. It does just turn into an episode of Shoresy. You want to go, bud? You want to go? Needless to say, being in Toronto, a lot different. A lot different here for sure. Young gun here of Jesse Lonen. Jesse Lonen. Don't know if if his name is Lonen. This is a Jean-Luc French variation young gun as well. But I'm not even going to try to pronounce the Y here because that just seems like hell. We're not doing that. There will be no attempt. Anytime you get a Jean-Luc, though, of a Montreal Canadian, that's always fantastic. I can never be upset with that. Canvas here of Mr. Cam Fowler. Anaheim Ducks. Ducks fly together. Can we also just talk about how there's a guy, the last name Fowler, that plays for the team named after waterfowl? That was just destined. He better never leave there. All right, I know you collect the checklist, so we'll set this aside. Kucherov Ovechkin. Portrait rookie of Logan Thompson for Vegas. They should only make the Jean-Luc for the Canadiens. You're not necessarily wrong. Now, what I would love them to do, they probably would not. The NHL probably would never let them do it, actually, because it's a sore spot. But what I would love to see happen one day are like throwback inserts, particularly around defunct teams. Like, I'd love to see a throwback insert from a player from the California Golden Seals, or from the Minnesota Wild, or Minnesota North Stars, or the Kansas City Scouts, or the Atlanta Flames, or the Quebec Nordiques, Hartford Whalers. God, and so many of those teams, by the way, some of the most iconic logos in the sport. David Ferentz, young gun. I just wish that we had more stuff to commemorate those teams. Oh, yeah. It's funny, actually. My dad's childhood best friend was probably the best player on the team in the 80s. David Ferentz, young gun. My dad's best friend growing up was a guy, might have heard of this name. His name was Dino Ciccarelli. So I've got a lot of Dino Ciccarelli stuff, obviously. Bellows or him, yeah. Well, I think Bellows is like the guy you're thinking of. Oh, it froze here. The camera died. Give me a second. New battery, even though it said we were at full battery. Gordie Howe canvas in this set wearing the Whalers uni. At least that's something. I apologize for this, Frankie. Shouldn't take too long. But yeah, for me, I think. I mean, I'm biased. I'd take Dino over Bellows, but Bellows certainly stuck with the team longer. I think that's one of those cases of like, like a Gaborik versus Mikko Koivu sort of deal. Where, funny enough, that's still Minnesota. But I think a lot of people would say the greatest Wild player, if you ask a Minnesota fan, they'd say greatest Wild player of all time would be Mikko. But the general sense would be that Gaborik is the best player to put on that jersey up until now, with Kaprizov, of course. So you got this young gun standard young gun of Dawson Mercer, Neil Broughton, another good player too. Yeah, so like I feel like Bellows, like when you're having the conversation between like, particularly the guys that I brought up, I think Dino was the most talented of that team for sure. But obviously he wasn't there as long as the other guys were. End up going to Washington, and then from Washington to Detroit. Never won a Stanley Cup. Missed it by just 1 year. Did score what, 608 goals, 592 assists, or 1,200 points on the dot. Dino Ciccarelli. Justin Richards, Young Guns. That in and of itself is crazy to think about. Because I don't think too many people think of him as a 600 goal scorer. Yeah. And then also the most famous, maybe one of the most famous quotes in the hockey history, right? I can't believe I shook that frickin' guy's hand. God, I love that. That was one of the most fun rivalries in hockey history. Colorado-Detroit. With Claude Giroux and Chris Draper and Darren McCarty. Like, both teams had this really rough streak to them. But then you also had your Yzermans, your Sakic's, your Forsbergs, your Fedorovs, your Lidstroms, your Konstantinovs, your Rob Blakes. There was that was like almost perfect hockey, right? That's like the ideal version of hockey, where you have the right amount of grit to keep everything in line. Both teams like had guys that would make sure like you're not screwing with Yzerman today, or you're not screwing with Sakic today. You know? They could protect their stars, and then were just filled with star power on top of it. That rivalry had everything. Because those teams mirrored each other. Like, if we were going to go down a list of, like, which player... Like, if you actually matched up Red Wings to Colorado during that time period, who would you rather have? You got yourself in Evgeny Kuznetsov here, canvas. If we're talking about who would you rather have, right? Sakic or Yzerman? Frick, that's tough. Okay, Fedorov or Forsberg? How the hell do you pick? Now, obviously, they had Roy longer. But once Hasek comes to Detroit in 2002, Hasek versus Waugh? How do you pick that too? Tim Stützle canvas, Senators. And then when we're talking about the grinding guys, you know, who's tougher between Lemieux and McCarty? I don't know if you can have an answer to that either. It was basically like both those teams were looking at the other in the mirror. Everything the one team had, the other team had the exact same thing. I'd say slight edge, and it played out that way, right? 3 cups during that era for Detroit versus the 2 for Colorado. Slight edge to Detroit because I don't think there was any way that you could match Lidstrom. That was the one thing Detroit had that, you know, like a 40-year-old Ray Bourque was kind of close. You know, Rob Blake, when they had him, was kind of close. But they never had a Lidstrom, like, you know, in his prime defenseman that could touch Lidstrom. Heiskanen in the honor roll. Well, that's just about it. How many cups did Detroit, so during that span of like 15 years, right? Oh, now you got the standard young gun of Lonin as well. So you got the Jean-Loup and you get a standard young gun. I'm just trying to think, how many cups did each team have offhand? Penguin during that time period of like maybe let's say like 90, from 1990 to like 2003, how did everything shake up? Penguins have 2, Red Wings have 3. Colorado has 2. Does New Jersey only have the 2? 94, 95, and 2001? Well, yeah, that was the thing, is like everyone was ignoring how good Lidstrom was because everyone was doing the farewell tour for all the other guys, right? Dazzler of Mr. Hedman. And then my head, honestly, always goes to, what if Konstantinov never gets his life changed in that limousine accident? Because Konstantinov was... Oh. Imagine having Konstantinov and Lidstrom as your number one pairing for like another 6 or 7 years. Like what should have happened. So you know what the thing that was interesting about Lidstrom that I think made him go under the radar was the fact that he was playing in a time where people still kind of equated defensemen with like the Chris Pronger, Scott Stevens style. Where your defenseman to be a good defender had to lay the body. I think people really underappreciated that man is the greatest stick checker in the history of hockey. And I don't think that people really started to appreciate that until around the lock, like maybe even post lockout. Once the game got a little bit less physical, that's when people really had to start paying attention, I think. And then that's when you see like he gets his run of respect. Stars, Ryan Suter. The mentality towards the game just changed entirely during the latter half of his career. But give me a Lidstrom that will just stick lift you and take the puck away and skate off. Then, like every time, over the Scott Stevens that takes himself out of the play. Clayton Keller. Not to disrespect Scott Stevens. But it's just, I think being able to defend with your stick is more valuable than defending with your body. It's harder to do, by the way. Which is why most people elected to defend with their body. But if you can defend with your stick, you have an active stick, you're always going to be in position. You're not going to be taking any risks. Ryan Suter, oh Peachy. So Frankie, what are you up to? How are you feeling about the box so far? Of course, we'll do the rundown, my friend. Coming up on a young gun, and it is Grigory Denisenko. Grigory Denisenko. It's kind of got me ever since he said that not bad so far. Ever since you brought up the Gordie Howe Whalers canvas, I'm kind of hoping that we pull that. I don't know if you want it, though. So, not my call. But, man, I love the Oilers. Or not the Oilers, the Whalers. I don't have any love for the Oilers, sadly. It's the only hockey team that I own any wearable memorabilia of that isn't the Penguins. I do have some, because of the whole Dino Ciccarelli connection, I do have quite a bit of, Florida Panthers stuff and Detroit Red Wings stuff, all autographed from him. Even though I'm not particularly a fan of those teams. But obviously. But in terms of, a team that I've actually, I usually only wear Penguin stuff. The only thing I own that's not Penguins that I would actually wear in public is my Hartford Whalers hat. Mr. Hockey card. Now he was a really nice guy too, Sampo Ranta. So another cool story for you guys. Started making this about me a little bit. It might be annoying, but about Mr. Hockey is a few years ago, so prior to him passing away, obviously. I want to say this was maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Cal Peterson, LA Kings. My dad was just taking a flight from Detroit back here to Canada because he was out as a Tigers fan, and he ran into Gordie Howe at the airport, and Gordie Howe talked with him for the whole time during the wait, 2 hours. And he ended up giving my dad a couple old 1950s cards. I got them back in my room now, and he personally signed them. So I guess he explained to my dad that he tried to carry some cards around with him as we come up on a Hendrix Lapierre. It's old, almost like milk hockey cards, almost they're fat, almost somewhere between hockey cards and postcards almost. And, he'd carry these cards around, and if he basically, if he had, an interaction with someone and he enjoyed the interaction, he'd pull out the cards and autograph them and give them to him. Seems like such a nice guy to just do that, to be that thoughtful, I think, because how many athletes do you see where they just don't have time for people? And fair enough, right? Us fans, we can be very belligerent, and people are entitled to their privacy. But this is a guy that not only treated people with common courtesy, but he was a guy that he wanted to give back to the fans. And if he had, like I said, if he had a good interaction with someone, he would give them those cards personalized by him. Certainly, Igor Shesterkin here, French variant. Certainly a guy that when you look at him, He is a titan in the game, both on and off the ice. I don't know if you'd have a better ambassador for the game of hockey than Mr. Hockey was. Boris Salming, man. Oh, baby. Now that's a name. Igor Shesterkin, New York Rangers French variant. That's so cool. Craig Smith, Upper Deck Canvas. It's always weird when like you run into. Have you guys ever had other stories where you just like ran into an athlete or celebrity just by happenstance? It's happened to me a couple times. And it's always weird because I never know how to handle the situations. Oh, you're I know you. I know I've brought it up before, but like one of the ones that always gets me because I'm such a baseball fan. Wade Allison, Philadelphia. Had a tip. Maya from Degrassi had a tips. That's the most Canadian thing I think I've ever heard. For me, probably. God, there's been a couple times. Probably the one that stands out most to me, and I've just talked about it before, was when Joey Votto was coming by 401 games to buy Magic cards. He did it a few times. He's like been here quite a few times. And every single time I see that guy, I haven't seen him around here for a couple years, but every time there's that period where he was coming in like once every 2 weeks for a summer, or not for a summer, for a winter, during his off season. Just buying tens of thousands of Magic cards. And I'd look at it like, that's Joey Votto. Like, that's Joey Votto. Joey Votto plays Magic cards? But if you know how Joey Votto is, what my favorite though about Joey Votto, I'm not making this up. I don't know if it's kid friendly to talk about on stream. He came in. The first time he ever came into the store, I missed him. Okay, I only knew after the fact because he went to trade in some cards, so he had to show his ID. And my coworkers, I was done cleaning. He left the room as soon as I came down from cleaning the upstairs of the store. And they're like, "Oh, Pat, you missed someone that you probably would have wanted to see." I'm like, "Who?" They're like, "Oh, have you ever heard of this guy named Joseph Votto?" I'm like, "What? No, what?" And then my manager told me, my manager at the time no longer works here, but my manager at that time had told me that he thought that Joey Votto, because Joey Votto basically is one of those people, he's one of those people that he wears, God, half the time, like he's trying to be as non-conspicuous as he can be. Like he was coming in with like 4 layers of jackets. And my my manager at the time had thought that he was like someone who'd just come off the street. I'm like, oh my God, no! That is the greatest baseball player, perhaps outside of Fergie Jenkins, in the history of Canada. It's either Fergie Jenkins, Joey Votto, or Larry Walker. Pick your poison. I will live and die by saying that those are the top 3. I'm a huge on-base percentage guy, so I'm going to give it to Votto 100%. Maybe Fergie Jenkins means the most to the actual game itself. Dyson Mayo, young gun. It wasn't Jeff. It was not Jeff. Jeff wasn't actually there. This is already post Vaughn being a thing, so Jeff was already gone. Though Jeff would totally probably say that. This was, I don't know if you ever remember the guy named Aaron. He's like, yeah, I thought, I wanted to like, keep a close... It's just like, he told the staff, keep a close eye on that guy. He's giving me weird vibes. Oh yeah, it's only Joey Votto. It's only Joey Votto. God. That's got to be my favorite. We talked about Tom Barrasso a little bit earlier. I'm so glad I haven't run into him because I know he's apparently horrible to fans. He just is like a huge introvert. So like, I will just live with my idealized version. We're not even going to, attempt to pronounce this name for you, Frankie. We're just going to show you. You got the his first name is Jake. That's Jake. Lashishin? That's my best attempt. Lashishin. Hopefully that's good enough for you. In the blue marquee rookie. I tried. Damn. Close? It wasn't bad for an attempt. You know, you say tomato, I say lashishin. Jake Neighbors, UD Portrait Rookie. Damn, so what you're saying is that these people exist to just torment commentators. Do they have to all go into professional sports? Can't they give the rest of the commentary team a break? I feel like when his dad retired, Doc Emmerich was probably like, oh, thank God, never have to say that name again. Oh, never mind. Here comes his kid. Nemesnikov? I like Nemesnikov. Jack Aiken, marquee rookie. What's the most unfortunate name of a hockey player? There's quite a few in baseball. I think for favorite baseball names, here we go. Mason McTavish, young gun. We have like guys like Coco Crisp. The one that I think that your parents must hate you forever. There was a guy played in baseball, I think in the 1920s or 30s, and his name was Dick Pole. That was his name. Dick Pole. Pole. Patrick Cantlay for golf. Oh, that's awful too. Andre Burakovsky. And they all play defense. Let's go. So, what made you decide to become a defenseman, son? Oh, no, I felt like it was my calling. What pairing do you play? I'm 7th D-man. Andre Burakovsky. I mean, little known fact, the reason Hal Gill's name was Hal Gill is because he was always trying to swim instead of skate. That's why he looked so clunky when he was actually, you know, trying to play hockey. Ryan Pulock in the UD canvas. I think my personal favorite, like, name in hockey, just straight up last name in hockey that I've seen was, oh god, there's probably two, and they happen at the same time. I really liked the names Kolzig and Habby Boolin. For goaltenders, those were such intimidating. Like, oh, who's playing in net tonight? Kolzig! Yeah, that sounds like you're not going to score a goal. You just picture, like, you know, Ole the goalie and the Boolin wall. Yeah, exactly. Like, when I hear Kolzig, like, I'm picturing, like, a 7'5" Andre the Giant style, like, wrestler coming in, going between the pipes. You know, like, if someone's like, yeah, his name is Kolzig, you definitely are intimidated. That's a scary last name right there. A really badass last name. We've got ourselves a Sampo Ranta young gun. God, we actually 90s and 2000s hockeys, we had a lot of great goaltender names actually. Now that I think about it, there's a great variety of cool goalie names. Kolzig, Brasso, Richter, Van Briesbroek, Broder, Hasek, Habby Boolin, Poopa. Like, come on. Balfour. Why did all of the goalie names sound so cool? God, Skudra, Reggett, Tugnut. Oh, Lalim even sounds pretty good. Cujo. Finally ending on a dazzler of Gabriel Landeskog. We'll do our roundup. Now all the goalie names like Murray, Jari, Fleury. But in the 90s, I don't know, every single one of them sound like some sort of new form of, like, Transformer. That was like a new Decepticon coming out. All the goalies sounded like they were like cartoon villains. They're really fun. Though, actually, if we're talking unfortunate names, Ron Tugnut is definitely one of the more unfortunate names in hockey history. Alright, so here are all of your things that just weren't sleeved, weren't top-loaded, Frankie. Now we're going to... This has been a very immature stream. I'm a little wacky today. All in good fun. So we're just going to sort out all this stuff, your canvases, from your jerseys, from everything else. We're also going to want to do a young gun count for you. Want to make sure that they didn't get short on a young gun here. So let me just see. Let me count. 1, 2. This is a Jean Loop. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so you did get all of your young guns. We're going to start it off with the canvases, the marquee rookies, and the materials. And then we'll do a rundown of your young guns. So, starting off, we got the blue borders of Parker Kelly, Ottawa Senators, and Jake Leschyshyn for the Golden Knights. Igor Shesterkin in our French variation base. Canvas time, we got Darnell Nurse, Cam Fowler, Evgeny Kuznetsov, Tim Stützle, Clayton Keller, Cal Peterson, Craig Smith, Andrei Burakovsky, Ryan Pulak, and the rookie materials of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Now that's a goalie name. Finally, we're going to end it on Jean Loops, Jesse Lonen. Now we're going to go into our standard young guns. We've got ourselves a Sampo Ranta, a Mason McTavish, Dustin Mayo, Gregory Hoffman, Hendricks Lapierre, Grigory Denisenko, another Jesse Lonen, but this time just standard English young gun. Justin Richards, Dawson Mercer, David Ferentz, Alex Newhook, Jacob Bernard Docker. That will be it. Those are all of the young guns that you got, my friend. That's all of the top-loaded hits for you. And we will start the process now of just making sure that you get everything. So we didn't hit, unfortunately, on the... If you get a mayo and a radish in a box, you have to eat salad later, huh? I don't know, Frankie, how do you feel about eating salad? I personally not a fan. A sandwich, that's a good compromise. Salad, that's too much of a commitment, man. God, you're going to make me want to actually go and get... Going to make me want to go get one of those what is it? Chicken sandwiches, rotisserie chicken sandwiches from the place down the street called Flock. They put like an apple horseradish sauce on chicken. Oh, God. Damn it. Why are you making me hungry? Ah. So we're just going through now, Frankie, the sealing process of team bagging all of your sleeved hits. Then I'll put this in a box, put it next to the box we have for Chris, and I will hand them over to shipping. And that would do it. So I don't know if you guys have seen the SPX or SP Authentic breaks are up. Also the tin break for Series 2, because that's supposed to come in on the 29th as well. So we will be doing another one of our... you guys seem to love those cheap tin breaks where we open 4 tins. This time the price per spot is $14 instead of $15 because there will be an extra spot due to them finally having 32 teams in that product. Which is like about time. It still baffles me that there was no Seattle in Series 1. It is what it is. Obviously they had a lot of issues getting product to market this year. Everything seems to be going just pretty well now, I would say. Once the SP Authentic hits, I think it's going to be crazy busy. I can tell you, at least from what I'm seeing on terms of like the orders, the pre-orders, you guys are very excited on that one. Though that isn't much of a surprise because it is SP Authentic. That's kind of just par for the course, really. Alright, so Let's take a look. We've got ourselves order 674070. Frankie. Let's go, my friend. 6747070. Alright. Just gotta sleeve these two things in. Seal this with some tape. And we're coming down to the end of the stream. Who do you guys have tonight? Game 4. I've got Tampa tonight. I think Tampa had a great comeback game. I think they'll do it. I'm sticking with my initial prediction. You guys can all hold me to it. I said Lightning in 6. I still think Lightning in 6. Because it's interesting, like, yeah, once the Lightning start rolling, they're hard to stop. That's the thing, is I feel like they're a very well-coached team, obviously. They've got a ton of experience. And in a way, so I'm usually, I'm almost always a big proponent of never taking your foot off the gas. So, like, I've seen, as a fan of the Detroit Lions, I've seen too often, like, when teams get conservative and they stop going for the kill, they usually choke away those games. So, I think there's nothing wrong inherently with Colorado laying it on Tampa. I actually think that that's usually a good thing. In a series, if you lose in a big blowout game like that, 7-zip or whatever, 6-zip, 5-zip, whatever. For most teams, that's definitely, I don't care what anyone says, a morale killer. Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't get me started. I've already experienced enough pain. I still see that stupid Verizon commercial they have, too, where it's like, even though you have been with that old phone for 12 years, and I'm getting a new one, I want them to know that I always love them forever and ever. That stupid Stafford commercial makes me want to cry every time. Yeah. But anyway, for most teams that don't have experience, I think that they would get flustered. Like, for a good example of this is number one, before that 7-0 win, the biggest blowouts in the history of the Stanley Cup Finals were an 8-0 win by Pittsburgh over Minnesota in 91. And a 6-0 win of Pittsburgh over Chicago in 92. And those two series, after those games, the Penguins pretty much dominated, right? Won back-to-back cups. Against teams that, weren't full of experienced players, right? There wasn't much championship experience on either of those teams that they played against. So it definitely seemed to have set the tone for like the rest of the series if you go back and look at hockey history there. But I think it's a little bit different. When it comes to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Ever since they got laughed out by the whole league in 2019 from that Columbus sweep, it's almost like they take embarrassment and they channel it into anger. Instead of being demoralized, they actually just pretty much say never again, and then they don't lose. And you know, up until, I mean, that game 7, I think was the wake up, was a huge wake up call. Or not game 7, that 7-0 loss story in game 2 was a huge wake up call. I think it woke them up. Because they played that game looking tired. They played a lot of games to this point. But getting that big of a beating, you saw in game 3, it looked like you couldn't tell. There was no way to tell that Tampa has gone through as many deep series as they have this postseason. They looked fresh all of a sudden in that game. And I know some people might think that that's like, oh, well, they were at home. I think it's less to do at home and more to do with, like, they got embarrassed, and they're not going to get embarrassed again. I think that was probably the motivator for them. I think a few guys on the Leafs have it. I think the biggest problem with the Leafs is just, I mean, I've been saying it for years. I remember talking to a bunch of the regulars here. I hated the Tavares deal the minute it was signed. And it's looking pretty bad now. Not to speak ill on Tavares as a player. It's just it's too much of something they already had. You know, my big complaint with signing Tavares at the time, for that $11 million cap hit for, what was it, 7 years? Was that, to me, it was almost like showing doubt in your forward prospects. You know, you had Matthews, you had Marner, you had Nylander. Realistically, to me, that's enough of a forward core. You know, not even mentioning that they had Kadri at the time and others. That was enough of a forward core to compete with, and they needed to have someone on the blue line to kind of bring things together. By bringing in Tavares, to me, was one, kind of casting doubt on their core at the time, their young core at the time, and two, it's just too much of something they already had a surplus of. And now I think that's obviously come to roost on them now. You know, now there's talk about trading Nylander. Lots of people keep talking about trading Nylander, and if we're talking about players making under $8 million, he's got to be right up there near the top. Yeah, that's what I mean. I think if you get Pietrangelo, I think that team is in a much better spot. Because Tavares, as good of a player as Tavares is, Tavares isn't the best player on that team, but he's being paid like it. And he's not providing anything that Matthews and Marner can't provide already. And even Nylander. Like, I would rather have Nylander and his production at 6'9" per year than Tavares' production, which is slightly better for 11. But it'll be interesting to see, because one of the more common takes I see right now, and it will break my heart if it comes to pass, and I think it might, because, you know, there's that whole talk about who are the Penguins going to pick between re-signing Malkin and Letang. Well, I think for the Penguins, they should re-sign Letang, and if Gino doesn't want to re-sign at 5, they should let him walk. But there's a good chance they probably keep Gino. And the one thing that would be interesting to me is if, like, Letang hit the open market, a lot of people speculate that it'd be Montreal. But could you imagine if they were able to move the cap, to make the cap space to bring Letang to Toronto? That would be a very, very interesting fit. Like, I feel like Letang could play that Coffee role. What Coffee was to Lemieux, I feel like Letang can play that role for Matthews. And he's the biggest fish on the market for me. If I were Toronto, if he makes it to market, he'd be the guy I'd go after. Try and find some way to get him on the squad. That's what I mean. Yeah, right. Like, you want a veteran with Stanley Cup experience? How about a guy who's been to the Cup 4 times, won 3, who also fills that hole that you need that you have, who's also one of the, I mean, still a top 10 defenseman in the game today, in my opinion. If we're talking offensive defenseman, he's probably top 5. The only offensive defensemen that I would say are better than him outright are Makar, Hughes, and Yossi. Maybe Heiskanen, maybe. But he's there. And put him onto Toronto's blue line. Put him with that power play, quarterback in that power play. I think that would be an incredible get for Toronto, but they have to make the space for it. They could have had that space if they didn't have JT. But then again, who knows what they do between now and or between then and now. They could have wasted that money on Cody Ceci or something. So who knows when it comes to Toronto. Though I do think Kyle Dubas, for the most part, has done a decent job. Certainly the best GM I've seen Toronto have. Although, though I will say it is one of the great what ifs. Now I'll leave on this after this because we are getting a little late here. But hey, CC is still around, unfortunately. But one of the great what if scenarios, I think. No problem, Frankie. Hope you enjoyed the break, man. Everything's good to go. It's ready to be shipped now. One of the great questions I think Leaf fans will have forever is what type of team would Mark Hunter have built? Because if you recall, when they hired Dubas, it was a 2-man race, right? The 2 assistant GMs of Kyle Dubas and Mark Hunter. And Mark Hunter built a dynasty in the O with the London Knights. And then obviously helped scout a lot of the talent that is currently holding that team up. I always think that that's a good what if. What direction would you have taken the team in? Because Dubas has brought the team to... It's the best the Toronto Maple Leafs have been in my lifetime. Though that's not saying much, unfortunately, for Toronto. I guess some people would say 2000 and the 2003-4 team that made the ECF, right? Would probably be their pick. But, I don't know. I never really, was ECF? No, they never even made, when was the last time they made the Eastern Conference Final? I'm thinking they made the semifinal, right? Against Philly, there was semifinal. And then Philly, I think, lost to, God. Do I have to pull up the, oh, Jesus, I didn't want to go into depression today. Let's look up Toronto Maple Leafs playoff history. God, going to end the day on a downer? Big sad. Okay, playoff history. Conference semis 2004, yeah. 03-04 season. Conference finals was 02. So they lost... Was that the Carolina? 02. That would have been Carolina, right? They lost to Carolina in 02. Yeah, well, you're losing to Carolina in 02. I feel like this year's Toronto Maple Leafs team, even though it lost to Tampa, is probably the best team they've assembled in more than 30 years. Like, I don't think it's out of the question right now that Dubas built a team that if they win, Kevin Weeks, oh God. If they win that Game 7 against Tampa, it probably is Toronto in the Stanley Cup Final right now. It probably is. So I think that is the best team that Toronto's ever produced. In my lifetime, for sure. Even though history will say it's another round 1 loss, but they just got the worst draw you could get in round 1. But yeah, still have to wonder because even though that team's been built very well by Dubas, I wonder if it would have been a smidge better with Hunter. We'll never know. We will never know. All right, that will do it for me tonight. Thanks everyone for coming through. John, thanks for keeping me company. Also, thank you Frankie and Chris for coming through. It was great doing your personal breaks. We'll see you next time here, guys. 401 Games on YouTube, 401 Sports Cards on Twitch. Check the video description below here on YouTube for links to our personal breaks, our group breaks, and then, of course, all of our loyalty codes. They're all in the description below the video here on YouTube, guys. Make sure you're using them upon checkout to save money on your break spots as long as you qualify for those tiers. Type those codes in, and you'll be good to go. All right, have a great night. I'll get this stuff shipped to you. Take care, everyone.